Hi, I'm Rick Steves, back with more of the best of Europe. This time, it's beaches, caves, and Alps. Enjoying a cultural workout in Slovenia. Thanks for joining us. Tiny Slovenia, with just 2 million people, is one of Europe's most unexpectedly delightful destinations. Located where the Germanic, Mediterranean, and Slavic worlds come together, Slovenia has a unique appeal.
We'll enjoy the playful architecture and lively cafe culture of its capital city. Row to a church-capped island, explore the Julian Alps, descend into a massive cavern, and sunbathe with Slavs on the tiny but inviting Slovenian coast. During most of the 20th century, Yugoslavia was on the other side of what was called the Iron Curtain. As Yugoslavia broke up into separate countries in the 1990s, Slovenia became independent after a 10-day war. We begin in the capital city, Ljubljana. After relaxing at Lake Bled, we loop through the Julian Alps and the historic Socha River Valley. We end at the Adriatic resort of Piran.
Ljubljana feels small. It is, with only about 250,000 people. But it's by far the country's largest city, its cultural capital, and a charming place to kick off any Slovenian trip.
A fortress has capped Ljubljana's hill since Roman times. As if turning its back on its hard-fought history, the city playfully straddles its sleepy river. Ljubljana is laid back, the kind of place where crumbling buildings seem elegantly atmospheric rather than shoddy. In its relaxed pedestrian center, it seems all roads lead to the main square. Fancy facades and whimsical bridges ornament daily life with a Slovenian twist. Centuries of rule from Vienna under the German-speaking Habsburgs seems to have both inspired an appreciation of the good life and strengthened the local spirit. The statue of Franza Piran, Slovenia's greatest poet, reminds locals that their language and culture are both distinct and worthy of pride. The Triple Bridge, where the town square joins the river, is both a popular meeting place and a beloved symbol of the city.
The bridge seems almost Venetian. That's because the architect recognized that Ljubljana is midway between Venice and Vienna, and the city itself was, and still is, a bridge between the Italian and the Germanic worlds.
The riverfront market is a hive of activity, where big city Slovenes enjoy buying directly from the farmer. Over time, shoppers develop friendships with their favorite producers. In this tiny country, it seems like everybody knows each other. Some farmers still use wooden carts to bring veggies in from their garden patches. The market is a perfect opportunity to connect with the locals.
Dobar dan.
Dobar dan.
Cherries?
Yes.
Half kilo. How do you say half kilo?
Pol kila.
Whole kilo.
Pol kila.
Whole kilo. This is your farm?
Our farm, yes. They are fresh.
Yes, they're very good.
These scales allow buyers to immediately double-check the arithmetic, just in case.
Habsburg days left locals with the old saying, trust is good, control is better. Half a kilo, just right.
The market's picturesque colonnade is designed to link the town and the river. It feels made to order for conviviality, enjoying the drink or observing the market action. Nearby, vintners proudly share their wines. These wines from the northeast of Slovenia are considered some of the country's best. Perhaps Ljubljana's single best activity is simply strolling the riverfront promenade and sitting in an outdoor cafe to watch the stylish Slovenes strut their stuff. As home to the country's main university, youthful Ljubljana is busy with students. An earthquake leveled the city in 1895. It was rebuilt in the Art Nouveau and Art Deco styles so popular in Vienna, the empire's capital at the time. Ljubljana remains a treasure trove of engaging architecture. This striking building was designed by an ambitious local architect, hoping to forge a uniquely Slovenian style.
But the big name in local architecture and urban design is Jože Plečnik. Like Gaudi-shaped Barcelona and Bernini-shaped Rome, Plečnik shaped Ljubljana. He lived in the early 20th century, studied in Vienna, made his name in Prague, and had his greatest impact right here in his hometown.
Prolific Plečnik essentially remodeled his hometown with his distinctive classical meets modern style. Along with the triple bridge and the market colonnade, Plečnik's brilliance for urban design, the ability to connect Ljubljanans to their city and river, is evident in his Cobbler's Bridge. Because he loved his town, walked to work each day, and had to live with what he designed, Plečnik was particularly thoughtful about incorporating aesthetics, nature, and people's needs into his work. The house of Ljubljana's favorite son is on an unassuming street. But behind the gate, in his garden, the creative world of Plečnik opens up. Guides passionate about his work give meaning to his home.
So this is Plečnik's room, where he worked and he slept here.
So his bed right next to his work table.
Yes, absolutely.
In a single bed, was he never married?
No, he was married to the architecture. But on the other hand, you have here a gilded sculpture on the top of the ceiling.
Ooh.
Some kind of a muse, you know. But if you look all around, you will see there are many, many personal objects. His glasses, or for example, his hat. He was famous by that hat. He was always wearing it and always dressed in black.
So Plečnik is very important to the Slovenian people.
Absolutely. He left such a strong mark, not only in Vienna and Prague, but definitely in Ljubljana, because all the land axes and river axes are designed by Plečnik.
And his heritage lives on today as the people enjoy his city.
That's the most important. All the bridges are crowded, you know, and their architecture really lives, even nowadays.
If this city works for its people and fits their character, it's at least in part thanks to Jože Plečnik. In Slovenia, so small and so laced with modern freeways, virtually every site is within an hour or two of the capital city. We're headed north into Slovenia's Julian Alps. Our first stop is the country's top alpine resort, Lake Bled. Since the Habsburg days, this is where Slovenes take their guests, whether kings or cousins, to show off their natural wonders. The castle is striking, as are the views from the castle. Lake Bled retains an aura of the Romantic age. Slovenes are particularly fond of their famous local pastries. The decadent Kremšnita artfully sandwiches layers of cream and vanilla custard between sheets of delicate crust. Lake Bled's iconic island is the focal point of any visit. Romantic Platna boats, unique to this lake, ferry visitors back and forth. Locals still build their Platnas by hand with larchwood from a design passed down from father to son for centuries. There's no keel, so the skilled oarsmen work hard to steer the flat-bottomed boat with each stroke. The island has been a special gathering point through the ages. 99 steps lead from the dock up to the summit and the Church of the Assumption. A local superstition claims that if you ring this bell 3 times, your wish will come true. While no motorized boats disturb the tranquility of Lake Bled, it does have its human-powered speedboats. Bled is the rowing capital of Slovenia. Crews stroke rhythmically through glassy waters, merging natural and human grace. Strolling the 3 miles around the lake, visitors enjoy ever-changing views. Also enjoying dramatic lake views are handsome villas, mostly from the 19th century. My favorite was once the vacation villa of Yugoslav president for life, Marshal Tito.
Slovenia was one of 6 republics that united to make Yugoslavia, a country that existed basically from just after World War I until the 1990s. Tito, a larger-than-life, strong-armed dictator, was the one leader able to hold that troubled union together.
When Tito ran Yugoslavia, he huddled with foreign dignitaries from Indira Gandhi and Nikita Khrushchev to Kim Il-sung right here. After Tito died in 1980, his villa was converted into a classy hotel, offering guests a James Bond ambience. In this high-end suite, you can actually sleep in the dictator's bed. And visitors can use Tito's personal desk for something I bet he never imagined: sending an email. Here in what was Tito's ballroom, a mural survives, telling of World War II heroics. After the Nazis bombed Belgrade and took over their country, the ragtag gang of Yugoslav patriots, inspired by charismatic commanders, formed a resistance army. Vastly outgunned, they fought back valiantly, eventually defeating the German invaders.
Tito and his partisan army booted the Nazis without Soviet support. That's why, unlike his Eastern European neighbors, Tito could and did chart his own course, independent from the USSR.
My friend and Slovenian tour guide Tina Hiti is joining us to help sort out the Yugoslav puzzle.
I find this propaganda so stirring. I can see how it would make people just want to wave a flag.
Yeah, this is a very typical socialist realism propaganda. It was all over Eastern Europe. And if you look at the picture, you can see the proud workers, carrying their tools. You can see them with shovels. Yeah, and then you can see here the true representative of a strong woman carrying a child and proudly waving the flag. But still, it's a propaganda of Eastern Europe. But it was so different over here. We were never inside the Warsaw Pact. That's why maybe the faces are a little happier.
So how was communism in Yugoslavia different from all the communism we think about with the USSR?
Well, we chose our way, the third way we called it. And it was a lot different. Like, we could travel, we had free market economy, and there were jobs for everybody. Social system was good.
Tito had some magic ability to bring it together.
Well, probably his magic ability was that he was a mix of all the nationalities that included Yugoslavia. His mom was a Slovene, his dad was a Croat, and his wife was a Serb. So he was the only true Yugoslav there was.
Today, are you happier with or without Tito in Yugoslavia?
I will say I was happy that I could live a part of Yugoslavia, but I'm happy to be living in European Union as well now.
This land has seen lots of change, but one thing that's constant is the warmth and hospitality of its people.
So these are my mom and dad.
Dobar dan. Nice to meet you.
Tina's having us over for dinner to meet her family.
Your house. Thank you.
Thank you. Here's Sasha.
Sasha. Sasha.
Sasha, yeah.
And
Anja.
Uh-oh, little Anja's more interested in bedtime than us. While Grandma and Grandpa take care of him, Tina and Sasha are giving us a peek at their apartment. They converted the attic of Tina's childhood home, creating plenty of space for their growing family.
So here we are.
Whoa, this is quite a surprise. When you come in, you don't realize how much is here.
It doesn't show from the outside, does it?
You wouldn't know looking up here. It looks just like a loft.
It's a secret compartment of our house.
With Grandma and Grandpa downstairs.
Built-in babysitter. This is our living room. This is where we spend the rainy afternoons.
This is very comfortable and very spacious, really. Above Grandma and Grandpa's. Now, I still can't get over that, because I got to say, in America, there's a stigma about people in their 30s still with their mom and dad raising their kids upstairs.
It's a usual thing around here.
Very typical.
All right, and this is the little kid's room.
Anja is
Anja
yeah.
is his name. The room is soon going to be shared by another baby, which is due in 4.5 months. So
in 4 months?
Halfway through.
Yep.
Anja will have a roommate.
Yeah.
This is great.
While the two families live separately, they share lots of dinners. And the hearty local food provides a good foundation for a lively conversation.
This is very interesting to me, because this is food I would think about in Germany or Austria or in the north. But we're right in the middle, Italy, Germany. And how does that affect your culture?
We are punctual when we need to be punctual. We will be on schedule when we need to be on schedule. But we can also be really laid back, relaxed, mellow about certain things.
If you're angry, what
we will curse, seriously.
in Slovene?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
What would you tell me?
I will say, may you be kicked by a horse. Or
That's your worst?
300 hairy bears. This would be just about our worst.
300
Swear.
hairy bears?
Yes.
That's worse than your mother wears army boots. course. You grew up with Tito. Are you nostalgic about Yugoslavia?
No, I'm not nostalgic, because now we live better than in former Yugoslavia. But there in former Yugoslavia there are good things and also bad things. Maybe one of the better things was for young families, because they can get apartments, they can get a job. Bad things about Yugoslavia was maybe because there was not good stimulation for good workers. For good or bad workers, the wage was the same.
So Yugoslavia was good for bad workers.
It was good for bad workers, yeah.
And today, capitalism
Today,
is
it's changing.
good for good workers.
It's good, yeah.
There's really no better way to get to know a place than enjoying a meal with a local family. This northwestern corner of Slovenia, within yodeling distance of both Austria and Italy, is crowned by the Julian Alps. Exploring the Slovenian countryside, you get the feeling that things work. Valleys that just a generation ago were industrial wastelands are green and getting greener. Villages gather around Baroque bell towers amid rich farmland. The unique roofed hayrack is recognized as part of the national heritage. In this unpredictable climate, hay is hung on the rack to dry. These Alps, with their craggy limestone ridges, bring to mind Italy's Dolomites just over the border. Like the more famous Alps of Austria and Switzerland, the Julian Alps are busy with nature lovers, both winter and summer. In the center of this region stands Mount Triglav, Slovenia's symbol and tallest mountain. Locals claim that you're not a true Slovene until you've climbed Triglav. Vršić Pass, which comes with 50 hairpin turns, was originally a military road. It was built during World War I by 10,000 Russian prisoners of war. In 1916, an avalanche thundered down the mountainside, killing hundreds of these workers. This little Russian chapel, built where the final victim was found, offers today's visitors a chance to pay their respects to those who made this scenic drive possible. At the crest of the 5,000-foot-high pass, there's snow even in late May. The road switchbacks down into the valley of the Socha River. Springy suspension bridges offer a memorable roadside stop. The Socha continues to cut its way deeper and deeper into this gorge. Tiny bits of limestone, the geological equivalent of sawdust around here, reflecting under the brilliant blue skies, give the river its rich turquoise color. While the valley's a favorite for nature lovers today, it has its dark side. This was the scene of some of the fiercest fighting of World War I. With over 1 million casualties, it was nicknamed the Valley of the Cemeteries. This peaceful river valley was known as the Socha Front, or the Isonzo Front in Italian.
Before independence, before Yugoslavia, Slovenia was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. In 1915, neighboring Italy declared war on the empire. They quickly took this valley, driving the Austro-Hungarians high into these mountains, from where the Austro-Hungarians fended off 10 bloody, uphill Italian offensives.
The Kluža Fort keeps vigil over the narrowest part of the valley, which leads from Italy through Slovenia toward Austria. The Austro-Hungarians knew if their enemies could break through this front, it was a straight shot to their capital, Vienna. But the Socha front was 60 miles wide, and many of the defenses were more crude and remote. Every ridge was strategic, and much of the fighting was actually done high, way up on the frigid mountain cliffs. The defenses included a web of tunnels that went all the way to the tops of the mountains. A museum in the town of Kobarid tells the story of the Socha front and humanizes the suffering of this horrific but almost forgotten corner of World War I. This was unimaginably difficult warfare, waged in the harshest of conditions. Trenches were carved into ice and rock instead of mud, and many ill-equipped conscripts froze to death. During one winter alone, some 60,000 soldiers were killed by avalanches. Just above town, a somber memorial to the Italian attackers was built in the stern fascist style under Mussolini. It memorializes 7,000 Italian soldiers, victims of just one battle. The poignant reality? Costly battles eventually fade into the history books, like the Socha front. A short drive takes us into a totally different landscape. Slovenia's karst region, a high, fertile, and wind-blown plateau. In this land of stout hill towns and rugged farmers, grapes for the full-bodied local red wine thrive in the iron-rich soil. Since the limestone upon which everything around here sits is easily dissolved by water, the karst is honeycombed with a vast network of caves and underground rivers. The most dramatic cave to tour is Škocjan. Visitors begin by seeing a multitude of formations in a series of large caverns. Guides tell the story as drip by drip, stalactites grow from spaghetti-thin strands to mighty sequoia-like stone pillars. In the grand cavern, the sound of a mighty river crashes through the mist. Chiseled into the wall, the scant remains of century-old trails evoke the early days of tourism here. It's a world where 1,000 evil Wizard of Oz monkeys could comfortably fly in formation. Crossing a breathtaking footbridge 150 feet above the torrent gives you faith in Slovenian engineering. The cave finally widens, sunlight pours in, and visitors emerge like lost creatures seeking daylight into a lush canyon. Nearby, wedged into another karst region cave, is Predjama, one of Europe's most photogenic castles. There's been a castle here for nearly 1,000 years. The mouth of the cave provided a strategic place for some feudal lord to stick his fortified manor house. This version dates from the 16th century.
While there's little reason to go inside, the castle makes an ideal spot for a scenic drink and a great capper for our visit to the karst region.
While neighboring Croatia is famous for its coastline, Slovenia enjoys its own 29-mile stretch of Adriatic seafront. That's about 1 inch per resident. Its best stop, the town of Piran. Many Adriatic towns are overwhelmed by tourists and concrete, but Piran has kept itself charming and in remarkably good repair while holding the tourist sprawl at bay. Crowded onto the tip of its peninsula, Piran can't grow. The main square was once a protected harbor until it began to stink so badly they had to fill it in. A colorful mix of work and pleasure boats filled today's harbor. These days, Piran's walls are inviting rather than defensive, and the town is simply an enjoyable place in which to relax. Explore the evocative back lanes. Hike up to the cathedral. Scale the Venetian-style bell tower. On top, catch your breath by enjoying views of Piran and nearly the entire Slovenian coastline. The traffic-free harborfront, lined with Slovenes enjoying fresh seafood, is made to order for a stroll. Swimmers frolic, while sunbathers claim more than their share of the national coastline. Piran clusters around its showpiece square, Piazza Tartini. As with most towns on the Adriatic, it was long ruled by nearby Venice and retains its Venetian flavor. In fact, the town's officially bilingual, Slovene and Italian. Today, the square is enjoyed by visitors and locals of all generations, savoring the good life where the Slavic world, the Alps, and the Mediterranean all come together.
This fascinating and offbeat corner of Europe is one more example of the continent's many hidden charms. I hope you've enjoyed Slovenia. I'm Rick Steves. Until next time, keep on traveling.
How did that go? He's losing it.
Don't stick your bloody pinkies in
This time it's beaches, caves, and Alps, and enjoying a little cultural workout in Slovenia. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, go.